What's up, y'all? What's good? Welcome to the What Up Doe Show. It's your boy Dame D, and I am back with another one. What's good, y'all? What's good? We are back. We are back. Back to talk about this Detroit Pistons Cleveland Cavaliers Game 2 series. I'm gonna let a few people jump in before I start up tonight's conversation. And we getting ready, and I'm finishing up the end of this OKC LA game. So I'm gonna watch the rest of that. Make sure you guys can hear me, and then I'm gonna wait for a few people to jump in, and then we're gonna start the conversation. We're gonna break down Game 2. So what's good, everybody? Look like LA is getting ready to go up. Two zip. Look like OKC is getting ready to go up 2-0 over LA. You have a minute left, 123 to 125 to 105. So looks like OKC is getting ready to run away with this series. Hopefully, Luka can get. Hopefully, LA can get Luka back. Which it doesn't look like he's coming back anytime soon. So for the most part, this series is probably over with. So what's up? What's up? Where the Cleveland fans at? That was in the inbox, in the comment section the other day. I'm waiting on all the Cleveland fans to jump in before we start tonight's conversation. And as you come in, please hit that subscribe button and make sure you like and you share. And the comment section is definitely open. What up, though? Okay, 16 seconds left in this OKC LA game. OKC has beat LA, and they're going up 2-0. Okay, you know what? And I actually want to show some of these highlights. So I'm gonna try to find some of that real quick too. So yeah, LA is down 0-2 to OKC. So this may be the last year for LeBron. Okay, and I'm gonna pull up the Pistons Cavs highlights. And I'll pause that. Give me one. Yep, so it is over officially. Thunder has beat LA. They are up 2-0 with LA going back home. So let me pause that. So give me 1 second, you guys. Okay. So yeah, I'm just waiting on a few people to jump in. If you guys want to come and join the show, you're more than welcome. Put your email in the comment section, and I'll bring you on in. But yeah, we're gonna show once a few people come in, and I'll get everything started up. But yeah, man, that was a pretty interesting game. This LA OKC game, which we knew the outcome of this game pretty much before it started. LeBron made it interesting, but without Luka, he's a one man gang. Pretty much he's overmatched with OKC, pretty much. So yeah. So this is what I'm getting ready to do. I'm going to show. We're going to talk a little. Okay, we got a comment in there already. So let me see who's made comments. Connor the GOAT. What up, though, Connor? Were you one of the Cleveland fans? Were you in here the other day when we were talking about Cleveland? I think you were one of the Cleveland fans. Connor the GOAT sub said Lakers selling Luca better come back next game. Yeah, it's if you don't come back next game, it's pretty much over with. But for the most part, you go down 0-2 to OKC, it's pretty much over with. But yeah, I agree with you. If he doesn't come back next game and they do not pull a win out, the series is over. The series is definitely over with. And that's a fact. What's going on, Connor, man? So look, we're getting ready to break down the Cleveland Detroit game. So I have I'm going to play I'm going to show some of the highlights, and we'll break it down. Because you had a lot of Cleveland fans complaining, and then you had some of the Cleveland players that were complaining complaining before the game about the refs. So they got the calls that they wanted to get, and still ended up with the same outcome. So here we go. I'm going to play a little bit of this, and I'll talk over the game. So we're going to show a little bit of game 2. Connor the GOAT said, I hear James Harden. You said sold only, got 10 points. Yeah. I believe here. Let me go to I'll go to the stats right now. Yeah, James Harden, he only ended up with 10 points. He was 3 out of 13. Your boy Donovan Mitchell, he was on fire. And they made a mistake by not bringing him back early in the fourth quarter. But we'll show some of the highlights and then we'll go from there. Give me 1 second. All right, here we go.
Game 2, second round. Pistons, Cavaliers, Detroit with a 1-0 advantage so far in this best of 7 shoot. Jared Allen and Evan Mobley.
Let me know if this is buffering a lot, you guys. If so, I'm going to stop it. I thought this was a different highlight. I hope we're not getting ready for the whole game.
And Duncan Robinson, our official.
Oh yeah, but for the most part, here we go. I just want to show a little bit of the highlights and
game 2.
Show a little bit of this and then talk about the game after the highlight. So let me make sure that everything is everything that you guys can hear me and see me. Give me 1 second.
Mobley over to a wide open Wade in the corner for 3. Duran, hand off to Cunningham. This is Harris. He's been tremendous in these playoffs.
Okay.
Cunningham with the shot clock winding down the lane, flips it up and in.
Okay, so
your perfect domain is out there.
My bad, you guys. Let me
and make it yours.
Oh yeah, for the most part,
claim your space online.
It was a pretty good first half.
Your break.
Donovan, he stepped up and did his thing.
And the rest just clicks. It all starts with a domain.
Hold on, give me a second, you guys.
What's yours?
What the hell is going on?
Lights on.
I didn't understand you.
Morning.
Hello.
Instead of building new ways for machines to talk to people,
Enjoy.
Chase is building new places for people to talk to people.
Hi, welcome in.
Hi.
Chase, make more of what's yours.
Squeeze, we were talking about pregame.
Okay, here we go.
Making sure there's no room to operate, but late in the clock, Cade Cunningham devastating to the rim.
Mitchell floats it up and in. He's been averaging so far in this postseason. Average 6 during the regular. Cunningham tosses it up. Thompson the flush.
A good read on the top block that time as the backdoor cut.
Harris, pull up Jay, won't go. Rebound Allen. And he right to Robinson. Mobley going at Harris, got caught in the air, tossed it right to Robinson. Robinson racing.
See, and that's who had a big night.
Off the window for 2. Step back, Jay.
My guys showed up tonight.
Chase down. Thompson comes out of there with it. Going down the lane. It rolls in.
And I love the energy of Thompson.
Mitchell, nowhere to go. Mobley, dump off. Allen gets 2. Averaging 31 points in this postseason. Cunningham trying to get it back to Duran. It ricochets to Mitchell. First turnover for Detroit. Mitchell driving hard and lays it in. Averaging 23 in the playoffs.
And Donovan was doing this thing tonight.
Getting shifting. Tobias goes down. And Mitchell got the hoop.
Let's check Tobias and his movements
Yes.
both on the ball and off the ball.
Robinson rolling to the rim.
Tobias Harris, he was on his job. I mean, he did his thing again. You know, he's the on hero for Detroit.
Thompson,
That Orlando Jenkins, and
penetrating dump off. Thompson, 2 more. He's 4 for 4. 5 on the shot clock. Mitchell. Top spin, fires,
and this was the highlight. I'm going to go ahead and pause for that. Jenkins ahead of the end of the first quarter.
Swarmed by the Pistons defense.
Tyson, outside shooter for 3, no good. Tyson there for the follow, plus the foul. Over to LeVert. LeVert driving, toss out to Jenkins, fires a tray, left it short. LeVert off the offensive board.
LeVert and Jenkins, man, they
too hot for Durant. He secures it. Jenkins now. Off a Durant screen.
I'm gonna go
dribble. Jenkins the floor.
And I'll get stop this for a second and just get back to my conversation because I actually started this off wrong. I got the wrong video. Connor made a comment. He said, "How much Cade Cunningham got tonight?" Give me 1 second. Let me get back to the stats. Cade ended up with, and he still didn't have a really good night tonight. Cade ended up with, he had 25, 10, and 5. Hold on, he had 25 points, 10 rebounds, 3 assists. Yeah, so he had a pretty good night tonight, you know. But I was more impressed. With the play of Tobias Harris again. Robinson, he had 17 points coming off the bench. And Durant, we still have not really gotten Durant involved, but you know, he was there physically, defensively, I should say. He had 10 rebounds, 8 points. But the leading scorer again was your boy Cade Cunningham, you know. And to me, I thought it was an off night tonight. He wasn't as aggressive as I thought he should, but you know, he held court and he did what he had to do. You know, and they got Azir Thompson in foul trouble early, which he still ended up with 10 points. So, you know, it was an overall good game for Detroit offensively and especially defensively. You know, Connor, give me your thoughts on the game if you saw the game. What do you think? Do you think, you know, and I knew this was going to happen. I knew with all the turnovers that James Harden had, I knew he was going to come out kind of, and I'm not going to say, he wasn't himself, but you know, he was kind of like not aggressive, trying not to turn the ball over as much as he did in game 1. You know, which he still ended up with. Let me see. He only had 10 points, 6 rebounds, and he had 4 turnovers. So, you know, he got the turnovers down a little bit, but, you know, yet and still, and I have to go and look and see how many points and turnovers that we had. But, you know, at the end of the day, it was an all-around effort from the boys, man. Everybody did their thing. The guys from the bench stepped up. You know, it was all around effort from Detroit. It was Detroit basketball, you know, and I just want to come in here for a second and talk about that, you know, because I believe it was after game 1. You had a lot of the Cleveland fans saying that, you know, Detroit played their best game. That was the best that they could do, you know, and they really thought that they were going to come down in Detroit and snatch up a game out of there, you know, so we proved them wrong. We kept our foot on their throats. Now we have Cleveland on their heels. Now we just have to go down to Cleveland and steal a game, which I think we may go down there and steal 2 games and close it out. You know, because at this point, we really don't have anything to fear from Cleveland. They showed us everything they got. Donovan Mitchell had a great game. He had over 30, and they still took an L. You know, we were able to contain, again, James Harden. You know, and it was just an overall good game from the starters and then from our bench, you know. So I just want to come in for a quick second and talk about that. You know, I'll let a few more people come in. And I wanted to show the actual, and I apologize because I put up the wrong highlight reel. That was kind of a long reel, but yeah, man, you know, I'm proud of them boys. They played excellent defense. Even when even when Cleveland made their comeback, we did not panic. We held steady. It was great coaching. Coach did a great job at keeping everybody together, keeping the flow together, and then just Tobias Harris, man, that guy. I can't speak enough for how he has been that number 2 shooter. Everybody's talking about how we only got one scorer, one shooter, but no, Tobias Harris is that number 2 shooter that we've been looking for and we need. And that's crazy. To think that, he's a 15-year veteran, second stint with Detroit, and he's been really I'm not going to say the unsung hero, but, thus far he's been keeping us afloat. He's been our number 2 shooter. So once we get our guards back on point, which they've been on point the last 2 games, we'll be pretty much unstoppable. The East is wide open, and I definitely want that get back against New York. New York is looking good over there, so it looks like it's probably going to be Detroit and New York, especially if we go down and get that first game in Cleveland. It's pretty much the blood is going to be in the water. To me, the blood is already in the water. We smelling blood already. I'm just going to call it like that. So, yeah, I'll go back over the box scores one more time, and then we'll go ahead and end it. I just want to come on here and just give my input on tonight's game. So, points, you had Cade led everybody with 25 points. Tobias Harris, he had 21 points. D. Robinson ended up with 17. Doran, he only had 8 points, but he also had 10 rebounds. How many blocks did he have? Azir Thompson, he had in 24 minutes, he had 10 points, 7 rebounds, 2 assists. So he got in foul trouble early. So it worked with Donovan Mitchell complaining the day before the game about the fouls and things like that. Because Cleveland went to the foul line. They were a little. Donovan Mitchell, he definitely was aggressive, but they got the calls from the ref, and we still were able to overcome that, because we did not get the calls like how we should have been getting the calls playing at home. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, I need for you guys to hit that like, comment, subscribe, and share. Your boy is closing in on 1,000 subscribers. It's a goal over here of mine. That we're coming to, that we're getting ready to break, that I'm getting ready to pass up, I should say. So, and I want to thank everybody who's subscribed to the channel thus far. Yeah, so and I'll I'll give Cleveland box scores. D Wade, which I thought he had way more rebounds than what he had. Okay, but D Wade, he had 8 points. Jared Allen, he ended up with, he had a pretty good game, 22 points and 7 rebounds. So we definitely have to do a better job at containing them. Mobley, which they've been depending on him to have a big game, which we pretty much contained him again. He only ended up with 9 points and 1 rebound. James Harden ended up again, he underachieved again in my opinion, game 1. And then also again in game 2, he ended up with 10 points and 6 rebounds, and again 4 turnovers. And Donovan Mitchell, who led everyone in scoring, had 31 points, 6 rebounds. So it was a pretty good game for Detroit, man. I can't complain. Now Cleveland backs are against the wall. Now the only thing we have to do is just go back to Cleveland, go down to Cleveland and steal 1 game, and pretty much the blood is in the water. I have no complaints. The coaching staff did a great job, at calling plays down the stretch, especially when Cleveland tied the game up. We did not panic. He put everybody in the right positions, and we did our thing. Yep. So look, man, I need for you guys to like, comment, subscribe, and share. I just want to come back on for a hot second, give my opinion on game 2. The Pistons did their thing, and we're back to playing Detroit basketball. That Orlando series was definitely a test for us. It woke these boys up. They're back to how they were playing during the regular season. So sky's the limit for these guys. Like I said, it looks like we're probably going to be ending up playing New York in the next round. So, look, it's been another one. It's your boy, Dame D. I just want to come on here for a hot second, and talk my talk, because like I said, we had a lot of Cleveland fans, that was in the comment section the other day, that's hard to get in contact with now, that's not there, so I just want to come on and just give my 2 cents on tonight's game. It was a great game. Cleveland actually, they did a better job than what they did in game 1, but Detroit's defense was just a little bit too much. And we held it down again, so look, I want to give my hats off to like I said, to the coaching staff. He did his thing, which I thought he could have been a little bit more aggressive, but he still ended up with a good game. 25-10, you can't complain about that. The main thing is, man, we got to get Durham involved. We have to get our big man involved. So hopefully we can go down to Cleveland, get our big men involved, and just go down there and steal a game. So yeah, we're definitely going to do live coverage on game 3 in Cleveland for Saturday. I could not do it today. I had to work today, but that's why I came on now and just giving my input and giving my talks about game 2. So it was a good overall great game for Detroit. The defense played good, and the offense played excellent. I want to give my hats off to the bench players. They did their thing. When they came in, they were able to hold it down, while the starters were resting. So look, I don't have anything else to add. It's another one. It's your boy Dame D, and I am out. Peace.